Welcome back, everyone. Today's explainer is all about taking those cool ideas floating around in your head and turning them into actual physical reality. We're going to go on a journey starting from a super basic hardware setup all the way to building fully connected real-world IoT devices from scratch. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so I want you to picture this for a second. What if your phone could tell you the exact temperature and humidity in your living room, literally no matter where you are on the globe? Or, even better, what if you could just tap a button in a web browser and instantly fire up a fan back at your house? We're not just talking about theory today. We're going to give you complete remote awareness and control over your physical environment. And the absolute best part, the engine driving all of this is actually incredibly accessible.
The magical little brain making all these IoT dreams possible is the ESP32. Basically, it's a super powerful, ultra-low-cost microcontroller made by Espressif Systems. And when I say low-cost, I mean it. You can grab one of these for like $3 to $8. But hey, do not let that price tag fool you. This tiny board packs a serious punch. It's got an Extensa dual-core 32-bit processor running up to 240 megahertz. But the real kicker, and this is absolutely crucial for what we're doing, it features Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built right in.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this little piece of hardware compares to older generations. If you were building this a few years ago, getting a microcontroller connected to the internet meant wiring up these clunky, super expensive external network shields. It was just a total mess of wires and messy code. By baking Wi-Fi right into the silicon itself, the ESP32 is basically a total game changer. It makes building connected devices totally seamless, which leaves you to focus on the actually fun part, your project.
So before we start building, we've got to prep our workspace. But don't worry, getting your development environment ready takes just a few quick clicks. For beginners, we definitely recommend the Arduino IDE. All you do is download version 2.x, open up your preferences, and just drop in the Espressif board URL. From there, you just pop over to the board's manager, search for ESP32, hit install, and then pick the ESP32 dev module. It literally is that straightforward. Once you've got that done, just grab a standard micro USB or USB-C cable, and your computer is completely ready to talk to the board.
Okay, let's dive into this with our very first build, a smart thermometer. For now, we're focusing purely on the simple hardware connections. We're going to use a DHT22 sensor to grab our temperature and humidity, and a tiny little SSD1306 OLED screen to display those readings locally. Notice how cleanly this all wires together. The DHT22's data pin goes straight to GPIO4, and we throw in a 10 kiloohm pull-up resistor just to keep that signal nice and stable. Then our OLED screen uses the I2C protocol, which is great because it means we only need 2 data wires. You just connect SDA to GPIO21 and SCL to GPIO22. Simple as that. With all that hardware wired up, let's peek under the hood at the code logic. We're relying on standard libraries here, like the Adafruit DHT and SSD1306 libraries, just to do the heavy lifting for us. The logic itself is pretty straightforward. First, we initialize the sensor and the display. Then, inside our main loop, we read the temperature and humidity. Now, a crucial detail to remember, that DHT22 sensor needs about a 2-second warm-up between readings. If you try to pull it too fast, you're going to get these weird floating values or NaN errors, and nobody wants that. Finally, we clear the display and draw our new text, which creates this really smooth, double-buffered effect so your screen doesn't flicker every time it updates. All right, so boom, we've successfully built a local smart thermometer. You can glance at the little screen and see the temperature. But that's not exactly the Internet of Things yet, right? The really big question now is, how do we take this local data and liberate it? How do we shoot this information up to the cloud so we can check it from literally anywhere? To pull that off, we're going to use a protocol called MQTT. Now, the easiest way to think of MQTT is exactly like a post office. In this scenario, our ESP32 is the publisher. It's the one dropping off a letter. But instead of a street address, it drops that letter into a topic, which is basically just a message channel, like living room/temperature. The post office itself, that's the broker, a central server that sorts all this mail out. And finally, your phone or your web dashboard acts as the subscriber. It basically tells the broker, hey, please send me any mail that shows up in the living room/temperature topic. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates just how incredibly accessible IoT development has become today.
You don't even need to go through the hassle of setting up your own server to test this stuff out. There are fantastic free public MQTT brokers out there, like HiveMQ or Mosquito, running on port 1883. They allow for totally instant, authentication-free testing. So yeah, you can start publishing your data to the cloud right this second for zero cost. It's a real game changer. So let's look at the logical flow for Project 2, where we actually put this into practice. Step 1, our ESP32 fires up its built-in radio and connects to your home Wi-Fi network. Step 2, it connects over to that free MQTT broker we just talked about. Step 3, we read the exact same DHT22 sensor data from our first project, but here comes the magic step. We take those raw numbers, convert them into text strings, and then we publish them straight to a topic like ESP32/temperature. And just like that, your little ESP23 is continuously streaming live, real-world environmental data right to the internet. Now, reading data is fantastic. It really is. But let's up the stakes a bit, shall we? What if we want to reverse that flow? What if instead of the physical world just telling us something, we want to tell the physical world to actually do something? For our third project, we're going to focus on two-way communication, giving you the power to remotely control a physical device right from a standard web browser. Let's move along and see how this builds directly on our previous hardware knowledge. Whenever we want to control higher power devices, we use something called a relay. Honestly, a relay is really just a digital switch. To wire it up, we connect the relay's VCC pin to the ESP32's 5-volt VIN pin. We do this because, well, relays generally need a little more juice than our 3.3-volt sensors can provide. Then ground goes to ground, and the control pin, which is usually labeled N, connects right over to GPIO 26.
Okay, quick timeout. I need to pause here for a very firm but enthusiastic safety warning. Relays are specifically designed to switch mains voltage, the 110 or 220 volts coming straight out of your wall. Do not, and I mean absolutely never, connect mains voltage to these things without proper insulation and solid electrical experience. It is seriously dangerous. Instead, if you're just learning, simply wire up a standard 5-volt LED and a resistor on your breadboard to the output of the relay. It is the absolute perfect risk-free way to safely test out your switching logic.
All right, so here's the clever web server logic that actually makes this control happen. The ESP32 is going to act as its own tiny little website. It connects to your Wi-Fi and starts up a basic HTTP server on port 80. Then, when you type its IP address into your phone's browser, it serves up a super simple HTML page with an on and an off button. If you click on, the code routes to /on and pulls GPIO 26 low. Now notice that carefully, it pulls it low. That's because a lot of relay modules out there are what we call active low, meaning they actually trigger and turn the switch on when the pin voltage drops down to 0. Click off, it pulls that pin high, and the relay clicks off. Boom, you are literally controlling hardware from a web browser. So the crucial point here is that you now have all the core foundational skills. But how do we take a basic workbench project and turn it into a sleek professional device? Well, you level up. The ESP32 actually supports deep sleep, which shuts down the Wi-Fi and draws a microscopic 10 microamps. That means it can run on a single battery for months at a time. It also supports OTA, or over-the-air updates, so you can push new code to your device remotely without ever plugging in a USB cable. And because it's rocking that dual-core processor, it runs FreeRTOS natively. This means you can literally have one core managing your Wi-Fi connection, while the other core continuously reads your sensors without any clunky blocking delays. Oh, and the best part? You really don't have to build the user front end from scratch either. You can easily connect the data you're publishing to some truly incredible IoT platforms. We're talking systems like Home Assistant for awesome local automation, AWS IoT Core if you need enterprise-level scale, or an app like Blink for throwing together quick mobile dashboards. These platforms can grab the exact data we just published and instantly spin it up into a beautiful user-friendly experience packed with graphs, gauges, and even push notifications right to your phone. So we've covered the hardware setup, the local code, cloud publishing, and even remote web control. You now possess the tools to actually make the physical world talk directly to the digital one. So my question to you is this. Now that you have the power to connect the physical world to the internet, what are you going to build first? Are we talking an automated greenhouse, maybe a remote weather station, or a smart garage door? Drop your project ideas down in the comments, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep building. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.